Good afternoon. It is the day after Christmas, and I felt like today would be like a great day to talk about everything I worked through because I kind of got sappy about it in the last post that I haven't uploaded yet, but it will come out. Like I said, I just want to talk about everything I made this year because I did a lot. I went through a lot of projects. I went through a lot of growth, especially with crochet. To be honest, my crochet journey, like learning how to make my own patterns, has been a huge difference. I learned a lot about sewing too. I don't feel it right now just because I haven't been sewing in a while, but like the last video you saw, I did finish a sewing project, which I did use new techniques to me. I'm not going to talk about everything in here. These were all potential sell items, but they're mostly like hair accessories, bandanas, berets. Most of these I already have in my piles up here. So I'll eventually probably touch a little bit on it, except for like these shorts. It was like the first pair of shorts I ever made, and I went back and fixed it up, and they don't fit anymore because I actually used the correct measurements. This is a 26.5-inch waist. I am not a 26.5-inch waist. I don't think my sister-in-law, I don't think this is her style. I might ask her before I try to sell it off, but I am very proud of the growth I've had since this project in 2021. So I'm going to do my makeup while I'm talking through it. I wrote it down on a receipt paper down here, so I'll slowly make my way through it, and then like gradually throughout the day, as I'm doing like my tasks, I'll talk about it because like I can't just sit here and talk about it. That's boring to me. We're going to do my makeup, then we're going to go to Publix so I can buy kamja potatoes. Well, every time I make Korean food, I always like forget how to say it in English. And I've been living in the United States for basically 32 years. I was born in Korea, but like I've lived here the majority of my life. So like I don't understand why I do this. We're going to make sujebi, which is like a poor person's soup, but like it's one of the first like food items I ever made for my husband. We were both extremely poor and we both made like the cheapest item we could and like impressed each other. And he's sick right now, so I thought it'd be cute and great to make him some soup that he would enjoy. And we might stop by Target because the butter gloss, I'm kind of really into butter gloss right now, so we might stop by there depending on how I'm feeling. I was thinking about stopping by AT&T to pick up a new phone, but it is the day after Christmas, so it might not be a good idea. So yeah, let's get this started with my makeup, and then I'll start like slowly working through the months of everything I made, and if I have time I'll add pictures, videos, whatever right here. And yeah, let's get started. In case you're not interested in the long form content of this, I do have 3 separate videos right now. I think by the time this video is uploaded, because it's not coming out until after January 1st, I'll have the 4th video up of everything I made this year. It doesn't really explain everything that I made. It's just showing off things that I made, and like you kind of have to guess what I made. But yeah, just in case you don't feel like watching through this whole entire thing, I do have it in 3 separate, gonna be 4 soon, separate videos of things I made throughout the year. It just won't explain what I did, so this one will. I just remembered that's on TikTok only. I didn't start doing YouTube until like March, April because of the DMCA ban. Maybe it's not DMCA. I'm thinking of something else. That's what got me to come back over to YouTube and start posting shorts. So if you do want to see those, I think I will have pinned at the top of my TikTok the very last video from this, and then it links back to the last 4 because I still don't have 10K. I've been posting like a lot since 2020, and I don't know. I'm just a bad creator, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm just too niche, so like I can't get to 10K to where I can like actually organize my stuff. Great thing about YouTube is I can organize my stuff right now, so this following year should be easier on organizing all that jazz. Yeah, I'll have it pinned at the top of my TikTok, and that way you can like look through and then see my music taste at the time. For the most part, it's a reflection of what I was listening to at the same time as well. So, yeah. So first up is the Valentine's Day sailor top. I didn't make it during Valentine's Day. I was just really into lovecore at the time. I made it in January, which is like the time I start getting into my lovecore pastel stuff or dark lovecore stuff. I ended up sewing the little armband together because I just didn't feel like adding a button. I was just so over it. I just wanted to get a project done to give me some dopamine. And it's cute. I wear it pretty often. I wore it recently, and I feel like it kind of gives the vampy vibes that I want. Anytime I wear it, I always wear a red beret because I just love it with red because like it's hearts. So that's the first one I made. Next up was my sparkly New Year's dress. To be honest, I don't think I finished that in January. I think I actually finished that during Christmas time. I just didn't wear it until post-January. I think I talked about it last week. Every year I make a sparkly dress. This year I didn't. I made a sparkly vampire cape and I'm so happy with it. Last year's was like a 1930s inspired one and that was super cool because I ended up wearing it to MegaCon and I met Rachel Maxey in it and that was so cool. Like I went to her panel and everything and she was like, oh, I started off doing like hair tutorials but now I'm here doing this. I never thought I'd get here. And like I went up to her booth and I was like, oh my god, I started watching you because of your hair videos. And she loved how sparkly my dress was and I was like, I started sewing because of you, because you started sewing. I'm like, I was incredibly encouraged to start sewing. And I'm so grateful for people like her that put themselves out there because I would have never thought that I could ever make my own clothes. So that was like a huge testament to like how far I've come as a fashion person. I've been into fashion since I was like 12, but I couldn't afford it as a kid. And we couldn't even afford to go thrifting. Let's be honest, I couldn't go thrifting. I would steal clothes from my mom's closet. Being able to make my own clothes to the fashion that I want and not be told what to wear. It's been an incredible journey. But going back to the dress, I used some old fabric that my sister-in-law gave to me. I don't know where she got it. I don't know if she thrifted it or somebody else gave it to her, but she ended up giving it to me because she's not a sewist. I messed up really bad and wasn't patient and ripped the seam more than just the seam. So I ended up putting a bow on the back that I had went to Joann post-Christmas, which that might be a good thing. Go to Michael's now because everything's probably on like 75% clearance sale. I used a Christmas bow to hide that, and I used a snowflake from a little Christmas item I bought during the sale as well, and I super glued that. That fell off immediately, so that's why I wore the jacket on top. And it turned out really well. That jacket my sister-in-law got for me. It's one that I very rarely use because it's a 1960s jacket, I believe. It's faux fur, but like it gives that 1960s feel. Yeah, that was like number 2, which I don't think actually was number 2. I think I just didn't wear it until more recently. Next was my cottagecore witch apron, which still makes its rounds right now on TikTok. People are watching it and I'm enjoying that because I worked really hard on it. The ruffles absolutely killed me. I don't really have the patience for ruffles, but that one I was like, I have to do these ruffles. And I used a bed sheet for it, like a gray bed sheet from Ollie's Bargain Bin or something. I don't remember. Outlet. Definitely one of my favorites. I bring it out pretty often. I made a witch hat to go alongside it. That one didn't get much attention, but also the practicality of a witch hat isn't that great. And plus it was just like a little plain hat, so the inside was the only like decorative part. I also made a bandana to go with it a couple months later. That was the first time I learned how to like actually make a bandana. And that was super neat. And then I worked on this blue, like, spiderweb kind of shirt, blouse, whatever. It was a 1940s pattern from either Lady Marlowe or... I don't know how to say her name. I never know how to say it. Lady Marlowe or Miss Depew. I don't know. I don't like the way that it looks on me. The way that it kind of, like, bubbles out on the back always got to me, and I know it might be the kind of pants that I was wearing because that's what somebody else mentioned, that it was supposed to look like that, which is great. It means I'm actually following the pattern, but I just don't like the way it looked on me, so I don't wear it very often. I have made a shirt similar to that before. It ripped recently and I'm not into visible mending right now. I don't know what happened to it. I think I ended up putting it in the donate pile and then maybe somebody else is picking it up and like sewing it together. It doesn't work for me. You have to wear a high waist pants or a high waist skirt, and I just don't always wear my vintage inspired outfits or tops or whatever with vintage clothes. Like literally I'm wearing like a vintage inspired shorts right now, but like I'm wearing modern day clothes. This I bought 2 last year over at Universal, and like I'm wearing a capelet that I made for a Yume Kawaii outfit, and then like stockings. Like I don't always wear vintage, and I think that's the issue with that blue top, is that it's one that you have to wear with vintage, and I'm not always in it anymore. I don't hate it, it's just not my style, and it might be something I might put in the donate pile eventually. It is okay for now, but yeah. And then I kind of got into my crochet phase. I made so many bandanas this year, and I don't feel like putting them all on here because there's just so many of them. I have a whole bin over here with bandanas that I just kind of like use the same pattern over and over again, and then just did a bunch of different like embroidery things, but it wasn't embroidery. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically when you sew on patches from a crochet patch and then just put it on there. And that's what I did for a while, and that kind of kept me going for a bit. That's what like got me wanting to run a crochet business. And then I realized the semantics of it, and I never got around to actually opening. I mean, I opened an Etsy shop, and then I was like, this ain't for me. But I did a bunch of those. Let me see if I can grab some of them out and show you. So here's the majority of them. I don't think they were all from this year. I made some with like the clouds on it. I know this wasn't until like March or something. I think this was from last year. I have this one, I think was from like the October time. I have this one that was definitely summer. I have this, which is what like really kicked it off. This is a pattern that I bought online, and like it taught me so much about crochet. It kind of looks really bad and out of shape right now, but honestly, I learned so much from it. This is another like pastel goth one that I made. I really, really loved how I did the little things right here. I made this one sometime in the summer. I made little danglies because why not? This is the one that actually was the crochet item that I finished. I am not a fan of this. I'm probably going to take it apart because I hate the way that it folds over, because this is before I actually learned how crochet like bandanas worked. So I'll probably take this one apart, but like you can see where my pattern making was really inspired by the spider web one, where I would just take the points and like make them the essential part of each of these. And oh, there's a free bobby pin. Let's put that away. And I don't feel like telling you that for each time I made a crochet bandana. So that's the overall bandana thing. Next up, I made a love core apron. So it's just pink and like a dark pink or red burgundy, and I like it a lot. I wear it pretty often. Whenever I put on my black dress, like my base dress, I wear the pink one, the love core one, pretty often because I really like pink. And I know it's not that obvious because I wear a lot of black. I fall into the pastel goth category quite often. It's something I come back to, and it kind of leads into my Yume Kawaii phase very often. Like right now, I'm pretty much wearing a bunch of Yume Kawaii inspired things. It's just a cute little apron. It was fairly simple, and it's like not much to it. It's just like the colors that go into it makes it very cute. And then I kind of made like this Girl Scout looking outfit. I don't know how to explain it. It was just like I had this fabric and I needed to use it because I was staring at this fabric for a while. I had made something using that fabric before, but I made it way too small because it was a pattern that was just not my size. And it was like one of the first things I ever made. I'm not disappointed in it, but it's just not something I would wear very often. So I kind of don't care for it. I don't know if I put it in my donate pile or not. I might scrap it and then use it for like accentuating pieces. I don't know yet. It's sitting in my closet and like it's just staring at me. It's more like a beach outfit kind of, but I just don't go to the beach. So it's like not one of those things that I'll wear. Maybe I should try it with a bathing suit, but I don't have like a plain black bathing suit. I don't think I want to make my own bathing suit. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not into that kind of fabric, so I might actually buy it. I don't know about that outfit. I made it. That's that. Onto something that I actually like and just don't wear very often is the strawberry cow like jumper thing. One of the reasons why I don't wear it very often is because it is one of those items where you have to like completely undress to use the restroom. I use the restroom quite a bit, and it's really frustrating that I do. So I don't wear it very often. I think the only time I really wear it is when I go to like the water parks, or like if I were to ever go to a beach, that would be the place too. I mostly just wear it at home. The straps are a little bit big on me because I don't know how to measure myself for straps. Sorry, I'm gonna like not do my makeup when I talk about this because I have to hold my for this. It is a very cute piece, and I wish I could wear it more often. I might if we go to the Strawberry Festival again, which I don't think we will this year. I think we're gonna skip out this year just because like this past year was like the first time we went in like 3 years. I think we might actually go to the Florida State Festival instead. But around Valentine's Day, I might pull it out just to wear it with the bolero, which I didn't make until next. But I'll tell you guys about that when we get to that. As somebody that drinks a lot of water and has to use the bathroom, it's just not one of those things that works. Last for like the January through March time period, I made a sleeveless ghosty top, and I think it was just because I wanted to use the rest of that fabric up. It's one of my favorite fabrics. I love that color of pink. I love the ghosts on it. I love that it glows in the dark, but like I only had a little bit left and I just wanted to use it, and I had a bunch of black fabric that I needed to use as well, so I just wanted to use that. It turned out cute. It's not something I wear very often. I think I wore it maybe twice, and I haven't worn it since because it's sleeveless. I'm not a sleeveless type of person, and I think what I really want to do is make another bolero, like maybe a black bolero or maybe even a pink bolero, and put that over the top of it, because I think that's why I don't wear it often. But it's cute. It's just one of those, like, it's sleeveless. Moving on to the next 3 months, I started working on a sailor outfit, which, like, sailor outfits are almost always my go-to when it comes to sewing. I just love sailor outfits. Seifuku, I love midi blouses. It's just my favorite. Like, it's one of the reasons why I got into sewing is because they didn't have anything for me. I think it's a very heavy fashion over in J fashion, but in the United States, it's a very, like, kiddie fashion. Nobody wears it over here, so it's really hard to find it. I'm not about to pay taxes on getting it shipped over here, especially for something that might not fit. I have one that I bought a few years back that fits, but, like, I'm scared it's not gonna fit again soon. So anyways, this one was, like, one of my first, like, pastel goth sailor outfits. I think it was the first pastel goth sailor outfit I ever made. And it's pretty cute. Like, I'm a pretty big fan of it. I wear it pretty often. It was the first time that I learned how to use, like, bias tape as, like, the lines, and I was so proud of myself for that. It's such a cool technique to be able to, like, know that you can use bias tape. I think I use single fold 0.25. It works out beautifully to make those little lines. Now I don't have to actually, like, make my own bias tape. I know it's probably best if you make your own bias tape. I am a lazy person. I don't like making my own bias tape. I have bias tape maker stuff. It just doesn't come naturally to me. Maybe that's something I can work on this year for bettering myself, but this past year was not the year. I did do that once this year, but it just didn't work out. You can see where I didn't do a good job on the lining or, like, folding in the seams or whatever, but that's okay. That's something for past me or future me to fix later, but, like, past me is very, very proud of that project. This is where I start talking about the bolero. I think this bolero specifically, I had taken an old project that I worked on before and was like, I don't like the way this is coming out, and then I expanded on that. Instead of using the sleeves that come with the pattern, I ended up, like, taking sleeves from another pattern that I really enjoy way more, and it turned out really cute. I don't wear it often because it doesn't match most of my clothes, but I do plan on using those techniques that I use for another one. I don't know if I'll video it, to be honest. It is one of my favorite projects I've ever worked on, and I would like to work on it again, so maybe soon. So I know this one feels like it comes out of left field, but it was halfway to Halloween, and I was like, I have to celebrate halfway to Halloween because it's my favorite holiday. So I made the midi blouse with the skirt that came with it. I used the bias tape method, and my god, it came out beautifully. I think I may have made my bias tape for this one. I don't remember. It was just, like, one of the most beautiful pieces I ever made. And I wish that I didn't just make it in Halloween flavor. I wish I did it in other flavors. I might actually get around to making a lovecore version of it, because I think pink doesn't have to be just during Valentine's Day. I can't wait to make it again. I have been kind of burnt out on sailor outfits, but I think it might be coming back now that I've gained more knowledge in sewing. So it might be something I do kind of coming up soon. So, halfway to Halloween is always such a great time because it means to me that the weather is finally, like, warming up. I am a summer goth. I know most goth people are very into winter. Winter is just a no-go time for me. I get really sad and depressed during that time. I'm just excited for the weather to warm up again. So I already talked about this, but this is when I made the spiderweb bandana for the first time, and then I went into spiderweb galore. Like, all I could do was make those spiderweb bandanas, and then on top of that, just keep on using that base pattern as a bandana making pattern. And that's when I really started wanting to make my own shop and keep on making bandanas. I think bandanas are like a super easy way to get your fingers busy and your mind off of things. I don't think I was playing any video games at the time. I think I was just really getting into watching YouTube and maybe some movies. I doubt it because I'm not a movie watcher really. But I really, really got into making bandanas. After that, I made some floral shorts, and to be honest, not happy with those. I don't ever wear them. I did try some like weird techniques on them, like learning how to solidify my stitches and whatever. I could probably make keychains now because of the way that I did the X stitch, but it just didn't work out the way I wanted to. I think it was the first time I experimented with putting a pocket in. It's not something that I wear. It's outside of my comfort zone for clothing. I bought that fabric way back in like 2020, 2021 when I was first getting into sewing because I was really into like 1940s vintage, like true 1940s vintage. And that was a pattern that I felt fell into 1940s like style. And I grew out of that. I grew out of that around 2022 when I started exploring with more alternative fashion, when I started like acknowledging my past and realizing that I am not normal. It was a way for me to like learn new techniques and like experiment. And I'm glad I experimented, but that is definitely collecting dust and it will probably never see the light of day again until I make it into like a bandana or something, because that's just not something that I want to wear. So then I made a pink skirt, which was just like this boring pink skirt that I made out of bed sheet. And to be honest, I think that's when I started burning out of, well, before that, I started burning out of sewing. I was just over sewing. So I ended up making that pink skirt, and then I didn't touch sewing for quite a bit, I feel like. Let me look. It doesn't look like I did. I really started delving into my crochet phase at that time. And I'm not mad about it because I did do a lot of work in crochet. It was just a boring pink skirt. It was something I made before, and I was just like, okay, well, here, sewing world, I made this skirt. It's a pretty functional skirt, so I'm pretty okay that I made it. I got really into a phase where I just really wanted to make stars and Yume Kawaii things. So I made these little hair baubles, and I know like they're not self-explanatory, and I was thinking of selling them online, but it doesn't make sense when I don't have like a picture or a reference or whatever of how to use them. So I think if I were to ever sell them at a market, then I would just wear them to the market, but like I know that's not my style all the time. But it's one of those like I have a lot of them, and I'm probably gonna wear it today, to be honest, because it falls into my Yume Kawaii phase. I think I really fell heavy into the Yume Kawaii phase at that time. And so I made that and a bunch of like star hairpins, which I probably have in here somewhere. Let me find it. I made a bunch of these guys in a whole bunch of different little colors. They're all in here. Big fan of them. I can practically wear them, and I know that other people, it will be self-explanatory how to wear them. I won't lie, like sewing on the back part is like my least favorite part, but it's okay. Like it's not the worst. I don't like sewing too often. Maybe now I do because I'm back into like actual sewing, but I made a bunch of those, and like I made those throughout the year, so it wasn't like a just this time of the year thing where I made a bunch of them. But that's where my crochet journey like pretty much started with a hair. Besides the bandanas, I was just like really trying to make hair accessories because I think I do excel in hair things. When I was younger, what I was most confident about was my hairstyles, because I was actually allowed to customize my own hair. I remember when I was in high school, I used to like tease my hair before school, and I used to do like this huge emo thing, and I did it like a couple times. I would have to brush it out before I went home because my mom was very anti me customizing my look. It was like one of the first times I felt so confident in doing my hair. I remember I had this really good friend too. His mom let me dye my hair at their house. We didn't tell my mom. It didn't show up on my hair because I have like naturally my hair is this dark brown, and so the red didn't show at all. He was allowed to bleach his hair before he put the red in, and it looked so good. I remember that being a pivotal moment in my life where I was like, I can do things with my hair. I can change my hairstyles. I can make myself look a little bit alternative. I think that's the thing with like emo and scene as it was like a lot of us were able to get like the trendy clothes. Like skinny jeans was trendy. For a lot of us, we were just taking the trendy clothes and customizing our hair because that was the only thing that our parent would let us do. Anyways, going back to the hair accessories, that's what I ended up doing, was making a bunch of hair accessories. But then I started making chokers because I was like, I'm tired of making hair accessories. I made this choker and I am still so extremely proud of it. I might actually wear it. I keep on forgetting that I made it because it's not something that like I typically do make. I don't make things like this very often because it takes a lot of work and a lot of concentration and a lot of like going back and like figuring something out. But like I'm very proud of it. It's something, okay, it doesn't actually match, so I won't wear it. But it's something that I remind myself that I can find things and build upon instead of just like following patterns. That's what I mean by like my crochet growth this year has been huge. I did find patterns and I took inspiration from those patterns and made something myself. Like, I think that's something that we forget as fiber artists specifically, that just because we follow patterns all the time doesn't mean that we're not artists, because a lot of times it does take following a pattern before we can learn how to like start customizing more ourselves. I don't know, like it's just so nice knowing that I made something like that and it's very unique to me because I was really into beadwork the year prior and I wanted to like become like a candy maker, and that's not me. I'm sorry. There's a lot to bead making. My best friend is into it. All hail to her because it couldn't be me. And then last but not least, for that time of the year, I made this really, really cute spider web dress and I can't believe I made it. Like the pattern, I'm not gonna lie, very, very hard. Still don't understand it. Probably won't get back to it for another couple years. But it's a really, really cute pattern. I call it the spiderweb cheer dress because it kind of reminds me of a cheerleader's outfit. But I took fabrics like the lime green because I really like lime green. And then I took the spiderweb fabric that I had sitting in my stash forever, layered it on top. And like that technique has been like kind of my favorite technique lately. It's getting like a sheer fabric and layering it on top of a plain fabric. It's really like easy, simple to do. It's a great way to accentuate something without like feeling you have to actually do work. It's just like another layer of sewing, and it's been my favorite part of sewing this year. First started doing that with a cottage witch dress. I took a fabric that I found on Etsy, to be honest, but I am very happy with that outfit. I did also make the bandana for that outfit to go with it, and it doesn't entirely match, but it was fine. It did the job. I'm gonna take a break from talking because my throat hurt, and plus I have like a whole other like half of year to talk through. And so I'm gonna finish up my makeup, then we're gonna head out to Publix so I can like not talk about this, pick up our groceries, come back, and then talk about it some more while I'm making food. Not only is it the day after Christmas, but it's also only 6:30, so I picked the worst time to go grocery shopping. I never want to go out there again. I feel like it's a little bit later because it's so dark out already. It got dark like an hour ago, and I hate that. That's what I hate the most about winter. And like, I am a night owl, but as I always say, I do like a little bit of daytime. That was the quickest grocery trip I've ever made. I don't think I'll ever beat that record ever again. I'm not going back out there for a little bit. Oh, and by the way, since we're on the topic of things that I've made this year, I'm going to forget because I'm about to take these off. But I finished these recently. They're not super pretty, but it is what it is. They're my Yume Kawaii fingerless gloves, and I think they're pretty great. They fit this outfit very well. If you want to take a look at this outfit, very cute, very kawaii. Yay. Alright, so I'm gonna maybe like start on making some vanilla cupcakes, maybe. For sure I'm going to cut up the potatoes and then maybe get to cupcakes because I wanted to make these apple cider cupcakes for the longest time, or apple pie cupcakes rather. And I haven't gotten around to it because I've just been like so tired with work lately. But I think I'm not as tired and I might be able to at least finish them up this week and bring them to work. So let's get started with some potatoes, and then I'll get back on to the subject of things that I made this year. One of my stars fell off of my capelet while I was doing dishes. Another reason why I hate dishes. It's a super easy fix. I'll just get around to it eventually. I'm probably going to take a while before I get to it, to be honest. I forgot that I need to do the flour mix. So I'm going to do the flour mix soon, and then I will do the potatoes. But while I'm doing the flour mix, that's when I'm going to start talking about my fashion in review. Yeah. So what I started with in June, July, August. Yeah, I think that was the time frame. Or no, May, June, July. I started with zombie hairpins because I thought they would be really cute. I think I started watching more small vendors, and one of them, I can't remember their name right now, always wears like a little thing on their head, and I thought that was so cute. So I made zombie hairpins because I didn't want to do ghosts because everybody does ghosts, and plus I wanted to like learn more about like crochet embroidery. So I learned how to do like little stitches, and I made little zombie hairpins, and they're so cute. Not very practical. Honestly, maybe if I get back around to it, that might be something I pass out during MegaCon, because especially if she's there. I think she goes to MegaCon, so I might reach out to her. And then next up, more bandanas and star hairpins. I could not get over those. Like, I'm literally wearing one right now because I just still love them. They're really fun, very easy. Then after that, I made a glow in the dark bandana. I sewed 2 scrap pieces. Oh, actually it was just 1 scrap piece of fabric. And then I used like puffy paint, glow in the dark puffy paint, to accentuate all the dots. That was a very long project for not much. I do have 2 more scrap fabrics pulled out so I can make another one. But I think for this time around, I'm just gonna sew the wrong sides together, flip, and then sew it all together all at once, and then just call it a day, because doing all those dots really stressed my hand out, so I don't want to do that again. And then after that, I made a candy corn hair tie, which the candy corn hair tie, like, I should have flipped the colors where I put the white on the inside. I might make more because I still have plenty of that yarn, and it's like a really huge size. I know people kind of made fun of me at work for wearing it, but I'm like, it's cute. It's a bracelet. You don't make fun of other people for wearing their friendship bracelets from Taylor Swift concert. Like, it's supposed to be a scrunchie, and it works well as a scrunchie when I have my hair curled. Textured hair, I feel like, is a really good way to use like big scrunchies. I don't know, I haven't gone shopping for scrunchies in a while, but I think most scrunchies sold in stores are very like functional and not cute. And then usually they're not for textured hair. Not everybody has straight hair. I mean, I actively go against my straight hair. My hair's not even straight, it's wavy. I just remember the artist name is Drawn by Ivy, and I remembered just now that me and my best friend are going to go out and buy Valentine's Day cards and pass them out. And I think that's gonna be cute, because like last year, I don't remember, but somebody was passing out Valentine's Day cards. And that's just such a cute little thing because it is in February this year. So that's gonna be like a cute little way to like pass out my handle instead of having to make them my own. I know my best friend wants to make her own, but it couldn't be me. I tried that last year, did not happen, did not work out. So this year I'm going to go buy Valentine's Day cards and pass them out with my handle on it. Only if like people ask. I might give one to Drawn by Ivy so she knows that I gave it to her, but like that's about it. And then I made berets. I made a bunch of berets. They were the striped berets, and I'm still quite proud of them. I love how big it is and how wide the brim is. Big fan of that. I also went out to Prometheus Esoterica, and I bought a bunch of like iron-on patches from them because I wanted to make my berets a little bit more unique instead of just the stripes. The stripes are fine. I wanted to showcase more of my fiber art skills, even though I didn't embroider them and I didn't sew them on, which I think I want to sew them on soon. I honestly don't know if that's the right call, like to sell those, because I didn't make those embroidery patches. I just bought some so that I could sell alongside my berets, so I'm probably not going to sell them. It's one of the reasons why I pulled my stuff down. I never posted it. I never uploaded that I was going to sell them. I may have talked about it on my friends only post on TikTok. Maybe that's something I give away to somebody else in the future. Friends only, or like people I know that I want to, like, if I ever get into advertising my product, which I don't think I will. I do want to get into embroidery though, and I know I've talked about it before, but like I don't know where to start, because there's just so much to embroidery. I've seen a lot of videos pop up on my For You page and even on Blue Sky, because embroidery is really popular out there alongside knitting. I want to get an embroidering machine. That's for future me to figure out. Right now, me is just crochet and crochet only. One of my favorite projects this year was my Dark Love Core beachwear. Separately, I think they do better, but together they also are pretty cute. I think I made the top a little bit short because I forgot to lengthen it. But the shorts being the way that they are, 1940 style, they work out in a way that it's not showing too much of my midriff. It was one of my first times like breaking away from a pattern and like making my own pattern kind of, or sketching out my own pattern. I need to remake it because it's not even, but it was my first time trying to do something that was very different and not just focusing on a different textured fabric to put and layer on top. And I'm very, very proud of it. It's not the best work in the world, but it's so cute and it's very versatile. I can wear the shorts with a lot of other shirts that I have. Speaking of, I need to make more black shirts, but that's that's something in the future as well. And the top I can wear with a lot of my pink shorts because it is like love core-esque, so it works out really well. Not red, because most of the reds that I have are like a orangey red. I'm so proud of that project. My husband taught me this. Whenever you have like a super slidey cut board, you want to take like a wet paper towel and then put it on underneath so that it stops sliding around, because you could seriously injure yourself. And I am prone to injuries. So I'm going to do that real quick while I am slicing or dicing my garlic. And then after that, I'll do my potatoes, which isn't something like super important. I mean, it is important to the food, but like it's not super important that I show you guys the process because I'm not making this a cooking video. So yeah, I'm just dicing right now, and then I'll get back to the list. The next thing I worked on were some pink shorts, which are the shorts I am wearing right now. And it's one of those like getting me back into sewing, but not really. It's my favorite pair of shorts that I've ever made. Like I've used this pattern all the time. Oh no, not the pop. No. And because I use the pattern all the time, I feel like I'm pretty confident in it. The issue is though, I never remember how big the zipper I want. Embarrassing story. We were going to Magic Kingdom to go ride Tiana's like new ride. Unfortunately for me, my zipper was too small. And because it was too small, I had such a stressful time. I got stuck in the bathroom before you could even ride the ferry because my pants wouldn't zip up. And then when I forced it to zip up, it left a huge gap in the back. And the shirt I was wearing with it was like a crop top, so it couldn't hide it. I didn't have an extra shirt to wear to pull over. Honestly, now that I think about it, I should have sent my husband into Magic to buy me like a shirt real quick. But I didn't have that. But luckily, there was a cast member in there who was very, very sweet, was a dancer, so she understood the pain, hid me up using first time visit buttons, and I wish that I remembered her name so that I could have given her a cast compliment. She was a blessing. She was so nice to me. I having a meltdown in the bathroom. I smelled bad because I have stinky sweat when I am stressed. Man, some people are just really, really nice. No matter how like stressed out, they like understood what I was going through. A very stressful moment in my life when it came to shorts, and I think that was another reason that I kind of like put off sewing for quite a bit, because that stressed me out. I think now I know that my zipper has to be like a 9-inch zipper, not a 7-inch, just for it to fit the way that I want. And like I got mad at myself too, because I'm one of those, like, I blame my weight on a lot of things. It's just something that's ingrained with me, and I'm trying so hard not to do that. I do good for the most part, but in the moment I was just like, oh, I'm too fat for this, because like I went through it. But I'm very happy that I've learned and I've controlled my mind enough to know it wasn't that I was big. It's because I accidentally put the wrong zipper on. Post meltdown worthy pink shorts, I made a spiderweb capelet using basically my knowledge of bandanas and like figuring out how to do like the little pointy bits. It's not really as spiderwebby as I'd like. However, it still had like the little texture of me switching from sparkly pink yarn to a black yarn. And I really enjoy the texture break, well, the color break in there. It's very pastel goth adjacent. So it's something that I plan to bring back out of the closet once I feel like it, you know, maybe for Valentine's Day. It's one that I'm like, dang, I could maybe make my own patterns. It was super simple. Like, it wasn't really even a pattern. It's like I saw a pattern in somebody else's pattern. I'm like, oh, I'll just use that and then do more and make it. I bought way too many potatoes, and so it's not going to fit in that soup container. So what I'm going to do, I learned this just now, is I'm going to refrigerate some of them, but I'm going to put them in water so they don't brown and discolor and all that. And then that way tomorrow, if I'm still feeling sujebi, then I can just put some of these potatoes, because like after potatoes sit in like a soup for a while, it gets like really grainy and it's disgusting. But if I don't put them all in there, it won't be as bad. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then, yeah. The soup base is so good. And I so badly want to add gochugaru, like hot pepper flakes, into it to make it a little bit spicy. But my husband is sick and he doesn't do well with spicy while he's sick. But I want it in there so bad. It would be so yummy. Oh, maybe a little bit. I forgot about the pink trimmed crop top I made. So I made a crop top using like black fabric that I had, of course, because it's the one staple product I have in my fabric wardrobe or whatever. That was another one that I used my own bias tape. It was really stressful. I never finished making the whole entire bias tape. I was using leftover sparkly pink Kona fabric. I don't ever want to do that again. I think I know that one of the issues that I have with making bias tape is that it doesn't stay put because I don't have exactly the right tools. I have mostly the right tools, but I don't have exactly the right tools. And on top of that, it's just a lot of like cutting. I've seen people make their own bias tape and they do like one cut and it pulls the whole entire thing. And that's cool, but I just don't have that kind of knowledge. I see it, it just doesn't comprehend to me. It shrank. I am a technique I learned recently, I didn't learn this recently, but I used recently, was washing my fabric before I use it. I'm so proud of myself and my growth. It took me a long time to get here. Looking back at all my old clothes that probably don't fit anymore, I'm so grateful that I learned how to do that skill. Then came Halloween shopping time. I think this is around June or probably July actually. I found this really cute cotton ghosts table cover thing. Tablecloth is what it's called. It's so cute. It was like one of the only tablecloths that I could get my hands on. I do watch a lot of like shopping content and I used to do a whole bunch of like shopping videos, vlogs, whatever on TikTok for Halloween content. But the older I get, the more I'm like, that's not cool. That's like a lot of labor that's not being like evenly dispersed financially. And on top of that, I just don't need more stuff. Unless it's going to be something that I absolutely definitely need. This house is full of stuff and every year we keep on getting more stuff and I just want to stop getting more stuff if I can help it. That being said, if it's fabric that I like a tablecloth or bed sheets, I will purchase it because I know I can make something out of it instead of just letting it sit and collect dust in the corner because I'm not good at sweeping my house. And so yeah, that was like a really fun little project. I wish that I had washed the fabric before I made that one though, because that one immediately shrunk. And I feel bad because I did get commissioned to make a piece like that for a friend, for a work friend. I'm not sure if it still fits her or not because mine barely fits me now. So it's a little bit unfortunate that I learned the lesson the hard way and I kind of feel bad for charging her. I almost want to make her something without charging her because of it. But that's something that I'll have to think of really nicely and give her. Moving on, for HHN, that was the next time I sewed. I made a space apron and I am obsessed with that apron because I had that fabric forever. I think that was one of the offshoot fabrics that I bought for the first time that wasn't like 1940s themed. And I kept that for years. I think I got it in 2021, end of 2021, early 2022. The colors of it is so cute. I lined it with black bed sheets so it kind of like mixes well with the space theme. It's mostly purple, which is my favorite. And on top of that, like space, like I deeply enjoy space core, even though I think more and more I lean more towards Yume Kawaii than space core, which there's not really much in the space core community. I think most space core wearers, fashion people, are like more into the NASA side, the scientific-y side, whereas I'm more into like the astral, like science fiction side, I think. Not quite science fiction, because when I think science fiction, I think like Star Trek, Star Wars. Not quite that, but more in like the fantasy space side. Alongside that space apron, I made a crochet space bandana, which I used a Neopet paintbrush iron-on embroidery thing. And I bought that at MegaCon, and I wish I remembered who the artist was for that. I bought everything they had in stock, and I was so happy to find them. Like, I was blabbering because, you know, that's what I do. I'm a weird person to meet in person. So if you ever meet me IRL, I apologize. I am socially awkward. This is easy because I can't see you. I made the little hat and then I embroidered on, and then I sewed on like, oh, give me 1 second. Soup still tastes, oh my God, why can't I? Soup still tastes great. Every time I have to go over there, I use it as an excuse to just taste the soup. Going back to the beret, I don't wear it very often. I literally almost only wear it with my Space Core apron. I wish I had more opportunities to wear it. I almost wore it last night to the Nosferatu showing, but I was like, that's a little bit too different from what I'm going on right now. Like, at least with the pastel, like, beret with the bats on it, it matched the bat vibe. The stars would have been a little bit too much. I don't feel like anybody else understands the Starry Night paintbrush. That was the paintbrush for me for on Neopets, and I wish I had it. I wish I were able to have had high-speed internet so I could have gotten it. I wish I was better at the negari. I wish that the stupid little snow wager would have given it to me, but he never did. I've always been into like starry sky stuff, so that was pretty neat. So after like the bandana, I went into a crochet fascinator because I really wanted to get into like vintage crochet and then like learn what our ancestors taught us. It didn't work out, to be honest. It was not a good size. I know I misread the pattern. It was really hard to understand. I think the thing with like crochet in the older times, antique crochet or vintage crochet patterns, they come with the understanding that you understand more than what's on paper. It's mostly just like, hey, this is what you need to do. Hopefully it works out for you. You can adjust to whatever you like. And honestly, same. I do the same thing when I write out patterns, and if anybody needs like further explanation, at least I'm here to explain it to you. They didn't have that. Maybe they had people write into them, but I don't know. In ye olden days, that maybe that was their way of earning money by having people write back to them and make money by asking them questions, blah, 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 whatever. So the crochet fascinator was supposed to be like an actual hat, and I might get back to actually making it as a hat, but the pattern just wasn't it, and I just wanted to get it over with. It's a fascinator now. It's cute, but it's not something I think I would reach for very often. So we got the first batch of flour in there, and it's like about to overflow the soup base. But honestly, I'm going to let it simmer for a little bit without the lid on so that some of the moisture comes out. And then while the moisture is coming out, after like it's done, it should be like another 20 minutes, maybe 10, 15, I don't know. I'm going to be yapping, so I'm not going to even pay attention to it. After I notice like the soup level is a little bit lower, I'll put the lid back on to like give it one more good boil. But while I'm doing that, I'm making it like another batch of flour because that's my husband's favorite part of sujebi. It's gonna go hand in hand with the potatoes I have in there. What I'm gonna do tomorrow, if the potatoes are really gross, I'm just gonna strain out everything that's inside there and then reintroduce some new potatoes so that we can get that cooking and then do the flour. With cooking safety, one thing that you need to know is that you're only supposed to reheat your soup once. That's by law food safety. Like, I know there's like different things for each person. Like, we used to keep our food out on the counter, which is disgusting thinking about it, but a lot of times we would leave our food out on the counter for a little bit, especially like our fish, not like the fried fish, but like the dehydrated fish that we cooked up again. I guess it kind of falls under the same thing as beef jerky. So maybe that is okay, but either way, if you want to like learn more food safety things, that's one of those things where you need to make sure that you don't reheat too many times because you could actually get sick. So for the last 3 months of this crochet fashion, mostly crochet, but fashion journey of 2024, I learned how to read a crochet pattern, like a chart pattern, not one that's like for tapestry crochet because I still can't read those, not gonna lie. I think I know what's going on, but I haven't like actually put my brain to it and make something using tapestry crochet. But I made the Dahlia Sis Love shawl, and that's a free pattern on Ravelry right now. It's been there forever. I just was too scared to try it because it's a chart. The longer I looked at it, the easier it got. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, she highlighted each new section, and that made it so much easier to read and so much more understandable. You knew what was going on. You kind of figured out that there was a pattern to each row. I did drop a lot of stitches, not gonna lie, but it's okay. Like, honestly, it still looks okay. And I added like a little benefit of adding little jingle bells on it. I bought the Halloween jingle bells on clearance, and I knew I was going to use it for something. I didn't realize I was going to use it for a shawl. It was like a 99-cent purchase, and it made my shawl look just that much better. They call it a virus shawl, where like it's addictive how like it works up. And that's true. It was really addictive to work it up. I used the Hobie Dahlia yarn, I think. Oh, that's why Dahlia Sis Love shawl. The pattern is called Sis Love shawl, but I used Dahlia yarn for it. Gorgeous yarn, and it's a Halloween flavored yarn, and I'm probably not going to be able to get it back until next Halloween when the prices super surge. And that sucks because that's such a gorgeous yarn. I don't know what else I'd make out of it. It is a very thin yarn and like it's not wound really well. I think it's a cotton yarn, which that kind of like intimidated me at first because the texture of cotton like does dry out your hand, and I was really worried about that, but I didn't really have that many problems. But I am so in love with that shawl, and I wish I had more opportunities to wear it, but I think because I put the jingle bells on it, I made it not wearable. That being said, I might actually try to wear it to MegaCon because it's so noisy in MegaCon anyways, and jingling bells kind of soothe me. My mom used to like be really upset anytime I would have jingle bells around the house because in Korean superstition, like kishin, like ghosts, I don't think they're like actually ghosts, but like more spirits. I don't know too much about it. It's more in like Korean shamanism. Jingle bells brought on the dead or something like that, whatever the kishin is. And my mom, being extra super ultra religious, hated it. So anytime we had jingle bells in the house, she'd throw them away. I used to have a little jingle bell on Apollo whenever he was a puppy because he was so small. And so I used a little cat collar on him and he would jingle everywhere he was. And we also have him trained to ring a bell to go outside, which, to be honest, stresses me out nowadays. But like, I'm glad that I got him trained on that. Because I was like really into like a shawl capelet mode at that time, I made a spiky ace shawl. I don't think I originally meant to make it like ace themed. It just so happened to be mostly ace themed. And I wore it for Ace Day and I was really happy with it. It's so cute. Like, I don't wear it often because I made the strings too long, so it kind of feels more like a fur stole, if that makes sense. I think one of the issues I have is I don't have enough clothes to match it. I think I need more black clothes. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I think I want to make more black or white clothes because black and white are like a really easy base for anything. I think it'd be a good base for my little shawl. Because I was so burnt out on making new like projects for sewing, I moved on to a project that I had sitting in my remake whenever you're better at sewing pile. It was one of the first skirts I ever made, and I'm pretty sure I made this in 2020. I was wearing a mask the last time I was wearing that skirt. So I didn't do the seams on that one at all. I know I didn't because I didn't do seams back then. And then also I cut the fabric too small. One, I didn't wash it before I sewed it together, but two, I didn't understand that sewing numbers, like the print number, like 6, 8, 10, is different from your size from like if you go shopping to in the stores locally. They're different. At the time, I was like a size 6 in pants. Size 6 does not translate from a sewing pattern. I went ahead and remade that, and I knew that it was going to be too small because I had just remade some shorts, those shorts that I showed you in the very beginning of this video. Because of that, I was like, I'm not going to sew it all the way up because I still want to keep this because the fabric's cute. It's one of the first fabrics I ever made, and I just want something to commemorate the time that it took to make that. So instead, I made it into a wrap skirt. I don't remember what I used to make the little string, and I did have it recorded, but I was like, I don't want to edit this. So it's definitely another time I was like falling out of love with sewing. It ended up being one of my favorite upcycles from my stash. I can wear it in so many different ways. I can wear it like a cape. I can wear it like an actual wrap skirt. I can wear it like a dress. I had a really good time making it, so I'm such a fan of it. Dinner is served. I am going to add kimchi to this because I want some more spice to it. But while I'm eating, actually, I'm not going to eat on camera because that's disgusting. I hate eating ASMRs. Mukbangs used to be like an actual thing where people would sit in front of a camera and like talk to each other. I hate the modern day mukbangs in the United States. It's just a feeding frenzy and it disgusts me and I hate the sounds, so I'm not going to eat on camera. However, I still have like 10 maybe more things to talk about before I finish. So I will eat a little bit and then get back to y'all. Plus, it gives my throat a little bit of a rest. While eating dinner, I watched a whole bunch of videos about like Nosferatu. I saw Charlie's video, and I don't think he watched the original Nosferatu before going to see this. And because I watched it yesterday and then I watched the original the day before, I will say the costuming, absolutely gorgeous. The scenery, gorgeous. The light work, so good. I wish I knew more about theater because I would be able to talk about it more. Personally though, I didn't feel like there was enough music, but that's a me thing because I like to have more music playing in the background, but I think that's what made it more eerie was that there was no music. So that's a me thing, definitely. I understand why it wasn't added. It was a very eerie movie. I didn't know it was going to be a horror movie. I literally said that at the end of my vlog yesterday, I believe. But to be honest, if I were to watch a horror movie, I prefer watching gory stuff and psychological horror, which it had both, to be honest. It had both, so like it worked out for me. I enjoyed the movie. I wouldn't say that I'd go out to see it again. I probably won't ever see it again. The thing for me though is that there was a sex scene in there, and this might be like a spoiler, but not really, because the movie, the original source movie, has been out for a while. And I don't think it added anything to the story. Like, it was pretty well implied that Ellen, the main character, was like being manipulated by Nosferatu since she was a child. And like during that scene, it felt like she was trying to like push away Thomas to be like, hey, we need to split up because I know what I need to do to get Nosferatu out of everybody's lives right now. They ended up having sex, and it's like, it did not make sense for it to happen. Like, I think that took me out of the movie so hard that I just couldn't take the movie seriously anymore. And that was like about halfway through. And there were a couple things that were missed from the original movie. Like, Ellen was supposed to learn how to be able to get rid of Nosferatu through reading a book. The book wasn't mentioned. Like, anything with reading wasn't mentioned, to be honest. There was a part where Emily was like, you didn't write me and you stopped writing me. And it's like, there was a letter that was sent. And the beach scene, that's where the letter was like received. And it was a gorgeous beach scene. Like, I loved it. They took direct source from the original, and that was really cool. But I think the only reason why I didn't like the movie was because of that sex scene. Other than that, it was a pretty good movie, but I just didn't enjoy that. So anyways, I'm done eating. I'm gonna start talking about the next thing on my list. The next thing was a waffle stitch Halloween scarf that I crocheted. I often make waffle stitch scarves because they're easy. I might make a waffle stitch tutorial coming up, but I doubt it because I'm not really into crochet right now. But it's one of those, like, I made it. It's done. I made it because I knew we were going up north and I needed something warm that was Halloween flavored, so I made that. After that, I made a black lace choker, and that one was really cool. It was definitely an experiment, and I think I might want to do it again because one of my friends, she was trying to, like, get rid of some of her old jewelry, and I'm like, well, I could maybe make something for you so that we can do like a little tradesy thing. I don't know if she's still up for it, but I haven't gotten around to making it, so we haven't reminded each other, to be honest. And then for Halloween, this one I had on the back burner for a while, and it was my vintage cowgirl shirt. I bought that pattern when I was just getting into like smaller labels for pattern creators, and it's been sitting in my pile for a while. I really like the cowgirl aesthetic. It kind of ties into the 1940s like cottage living thing in a way. I've mentioned this before. 1940s kind of leads to cottagecore, but on the other hand, it leads to Midwestern living, and both those combined kind of like really sparked that when I was just getting into sewing. But I finally made it for the first time. I learned a lot of new techniques with that one. I probably already forgot how to do some of those techniques, to be honest, but it's one of the cool ones that I learned, and I got to wear that to Dollywood. That was the best part about it. I made it specifically so I could wear it in Dollywood, and I made like little embroidery spider webs on my collar, which was really neat because that was definitely a new technique, and I most likely will get back to that again. What I did with that is like I took chalk and like I kind of drew the outline of what I wanted and then traced that while I was sewing, and that's how I made the little spider web, and it was really neat that I did that. Hey, it's like 7 days later. I'm just now getting back because I just was tired of filming the other day and I haven't had the energy to film, but I finally have the energy now because I didn't work today and I am in the middle of watching Grian's big world tour. I didn't know it was 7 hours and 42 minutes long, but I just got to the part where Grian and his kids were on tour together, and he was talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I want to get back to that eventually towards the end of this video, but it really touched on me and I just wanted to talk about that a little bit before I move on to the next outfits. Also, I want to go back and talk about my review on Nosferatu. As an ace person, watching the sex scenes was a little bit much for me. However, knowing the background of Victorian era and women when it comes to sex, if you thought of sex as a woman, you were deemed unworthy, unclean, and all that. So in that aspect, I completely understand why it was added. My brain was just like, that's just too much for me. I still really enjoyed the movie. I don't hate the movie. I didn't love the movie like I thought I would because I had just watched the 1922 version of it, and I was expecting the 1922 version, and I shouldn't have, because they weren't able to portray most of the vampiric thoughts. Like, vampires inherently are queer. It is queer culture, and I knew that going in because I've always been fascinated by the queerness of vampires. I just wasn't ready for the sex. I do recommend it. Just be prepared that there is a lot of scenes that you might not want to watch with your family. That's all I gotta say on that. Anywho, I did get a new phone. I'm still filming on my old phone because I already have everything on here. This is my new phone. I do need a case. I did buy a case. Unfortunately, I bought the wrong size. So silly me. I'm in the middle of working on another project. I'm not going to talk about this project on here. It's a lot of work and I just don't want to talk about the pattern. I am kind of long form contented out of crochet. However, I do believe I will be making a short out of it. It's literally just block stitches up for like, I don't know, 60 rows. I don't know. I can't count. And it's basically, at the end of the day, it's going to be like a wristlet. And then I'm going to add like a little pocket on the back so I can put my makeup in, because I'm starting to get like over encumbered by wearing backpacks all the time. I wear a tiny Loungefly anytime I go out because it's just like, it's small, it's compact. I don't like wearing like a big old backpack. I hate wearing purses because it's on one shoulder and it just doesn't feel right on my body. And I used to wear over the shoulder purses, like the sling bag purses, but like I don't like the way that it makes this area look. So I haven't worn that since I was like 18. So with all that, I kind of started getting into wristlets lately, especially since my old phone, which you guys, you're on my own phone right now. I have a little cinema roll wristlet thing that I just hold on to. And I will be putting him back onto this phone whenever I get my new case in. I had to go return it tomorrow. I've been into wristlets lately, and that's the moral of the story. So I'm making a wristlet kind of phone holder until my case comes in. So picking up from where we stopped off, it looks like we were at the Frosty Forest Witch Hat. I kind of took a pattern offline. I don't remember what pattern it was, but it was one pattern I've looked at multiple times in the past, and I've used at least once before, but this time I kind of like did a little variation on it because I think their pattern is made for thicker yarns, like the normal acrylic yarns, but I often tend to go towards the bamboo and cotton yarns. The yarn I used for it wasn't bamboo or cotton. It was definitely polyester. And I used this same hook size. It's a 3.5 millimeter, which is my favorite size hook. I don't know how people work with bigger hooks. It's too much for me. It's too like, because I think the reason why I use the smaller hooks is because I pencil grip rather than knife grip. Knife grip is like too much movement for me. So anyways, made a variation of that. And what I did at the end was like I used metal or gardening wire so I can stay stiff. And then I used like a picot stitch because I recently learned how to do picot stitch using the spiderweb bandana pattern. And I made a cute little design on the end. I was planning on making a witch hat that kind of had like falling particles from the ends. But towards the end of the project, I was just like, I want this to be over. I want to show everybody. And on top of that, when I started the project, it was post-Halloween. So I was clearance shopping over at Michael's. I saw Christmas decorations out and I was like, oh, that would be really cute if I added that to my little outfit or some kind of outfit, because like I love the Frosty Forest themes. What really got me into this project, that yarn specifically, like I've been looking for a yarn similar to that for a while. I first looked on Hobie, but like that yarn I found in a town, I think it was Asheville actually, in North Carolina, while we were going Halloween touring around the southeast area of Florida or the United States. Got that yarn because it was close enough. And the reason why I wanted that yarn or a yarn similar to that was because Minecraft came out with their Pale Garden update. Well, it was a snapshot for a while, but now it's fully out. It was really inspiring because I love the forest theme. I wish we had more forests down here. That's something I miss most about living in Arkansas, was how many like forests that you could go hiking in. The bugs were pretty bad. There were a lot of ticks up there, but like it was just really, really nice. It was cozy, especially in the winter. I think fall, winter was my favorite time to go hiking when I lived up there, and I really did miss that. So I wanted to like kind of replicate that in an outfit that I was wearing, and so that came about. Anyways, going back to the Christmas decor shopping, I bought some of that. I don't want to pull it down right now because if I pull it down, then I'm going to forget that the little scentsies that I have inside there are in there, and I'm going to forget to wear them because I want to smell like a pine tree. So I have little like oil scents in there right now. I also bought that Halloween clearance florals, and I was looking, I don't remember, it was like called Haunted Forest, I think that was the line. It was like this pale like gray pink mix. I loved that line, but I didn't buy anything this year because I was trying really, really hard to not buy any new decor unless I knew specifically what I wanted to do with it. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it when I bought it after like Halloween for the clearance sale, but it was like $1. So I was like, okay, well, at least I'm not spending, what was it? Like cost $14.99 originally, which is like outrageous. So I ended up like mixing the Halloween clearance, the gray stem, with the Frosty Forest, like, I don't know what it's called, but like whatever they do for the white snow, whatever. Mix those two together because they looked really good together. And I got that hat and I'm so proud of it. It's just one of the first like off patterns that I really made. Like I did make a whole bunch of bandanas that were based off of another pattern, but this was really an offshoot of like having the base pattern, but also really making it mine. I wish that I had talked through this and like actually verbalized how I made it. Looking back at it, I don't really like the point at the bottom, or like the top rather. And that's one of the reasons why I added all the florals, because I'm like, I gotta hide that. I don't like it. I had a lot of growth this year, and I know I talk about that a lot, but I really did have a lot of growth in fiber arts this year. So enough about that. Let me move on to the next one. So next up we have one of the most proud I've ever been of a project. It's another crochet project, and it's the cold shoulder top. I completely made everything off my brain power, everything. I mean, I talked a lot about the vintage crochet stitch or the vintage puff stitch, and then I eventually learned that it was called the front post bobble stitch. And it's a very addicting like little motif to have, like doing the one row of single, one row of half double, one row of front post bobble, then another half double, single, and repeating that 5-part like pattern over and over again. Just like, it's a brain off type of thing, and it gives you like a different sense of an end goal. I will say, like, building up anything without knowing how big the pattern is going to be, like, or how many more rows that you have to do is really stressful. And like a couple times I'm like, I'm over this project, I just want this to be done, why am I not at the end? But eventually, you know, you get to the end and you're like, oh my gosh, this really wasn't as hard as I thought it was. And I am so incredibly proud of that project. I don't think that I can make anything better than that. I remember one of the first brain power crochet clothing items I ever made. I had to take it apart recently. I have some of the yarn around, strewn around. It was like an outfit inspired by the sky, because I had just started working at a place that I worked on the 16th floor, I think. Every single day I got to watch the nightfall, and it was a really, really pretty venue to work at. However, I had just learned how to do a bobble stitch. I didn't realize that you could carry the yarn over. I didn't know how to weave in my ends, and it just completely like started breaking apart. I also washed it in the washing machine, which I know you're not supposed to, especially with like bamboo yarn. Let me see what it was a different bamboo yarn. It wasn't the loops and threads one, it was the True Boo. So you're supposed to machine wash cold, dry flat. I never do that. I'm lazy. Why would I do that? It did completely like ruin the project, and it pilled up, and I just ended up just taking it apart because like it just didn't look good. At first it was gorgeous. I had a couple people like come up to me and be like, where did you get your top? I'm like, I made it. And like, that's what I love so much about crochet, is that you cannot replicate crochet by machine. I get so proud of every single like big clothing crochet project that I make, because I know it's going to be the only of its kind, especially if it's a pattern that I made. That top, I want to wear it again soon, but I feel like I just wore it and I shouldn't. But like, I wore it out to Universal, and I did hear people talking about it. Like, I try not to like put attention on myself, but it's a little bit silly for me to say that I don't want attention on myself when I dress the way that I do. I overheard a lot of people like saying, wow, that's pretty, wow, that's pretty. And I'm like so proud of myself, because that yarn was also part of the yarn that I bought up in Asheville, North Carolina. It's my magnum opus. Like, I don't think I can make anything better anytime soon, because that was a big project to take. And I think I still want to use the rest of the yarn to make a skirt type thing, or like a cape type thing. Not like a shoulder cape, but more like a skirt cape. And I just haven't gotten around to it because that's just like a big undertaking, because clothing takes a long time. I don't remember how long it took. I think if you added all the hours together, it was at least 4 days. It did take me a little while too, because I was working a lot, and maybe that's why I got it done so quickly though, is because like at work, you know, with being neurodiverse, when you're doing something that you don't want to do, all you're thinking is ruminating on is that one thing you want to do. That's why I would come home and I would have a burning passion just to do this project. I'm very, very proud of it. I don't have much words to say about it. I mean, there's a couple things I would change about it, like the shoulder piece, like the strap, whatever. Made that too long. That's something I can change in the future. I did talk it all the way through. It was the first video I talked my project all the way through, and I'm so proud of myself for like recording every single step. And I will be going back to it eventually, I believe, to make another top like that. I think I understand myself for the most part. I probably won't in a year from now, but I think I understand myself enough to know what I did for each pattern. And I can actually like, go and reference my own pattern by going to look at it. So it's fine. And I'm just so proud of myself for that project. Not gonna lie, I'm losing steam for finishing this video. So I'm kind of gonna rapid fire this. I have my list. So next up we have the candy cane accessories. So they were the leggings and the fingerless gloves and then the beret, and I'm very happy with that, even though it's like a super simple project. It was one of those like dopamine projects where I got a lot of things done really quickly, and it was fun. I paired it with a whole bunch of black clothes that I normally wear. It was cute, and I went out to Miller's Ale House and the server thought I was cute, so I like it. It's something I'll probably wear again during Valentine's Day because it's a very pinky red thing. Next after that is my Frosty Forest Witch capelet, which I actually had that finished before the cold shoulder top, but I didn't feel like wearing it for a while because I just didn't have the energy when I finished it. Oh, by the way, I never even mentioned the cold shoulder top and the Frosty Forest Witch. Those are part of MegaCon. I know I've mentioned it prior to this video, but if you're only watching this video, it is part of my MegaCon projects. I think I have 2 more projects in the works for it. MegaCon is February 6th through 9th, and I kind of want to do an outfit every single day, but I don't know yet because I wanted to get started with sewing, but I had this emergency project with my cell phone needing to be done first, and I had planned on starting that sewing project like immediately after I finished wrapping this up, but because I have this, like I'm suffering right now, let's be real. Yeah, so that's all part of like a big overall MegaCon project. I do plan on for that outfit making like a skirt and a top. Speaking of the top I was planning on using like bishop sleeves, and the pattern I was going to use for bishop sleeves got peed on by my dog. She got sick. I think she's lactose intolerant. We gave her Milkbone for Christmas because my mother-in-law bought both of our dogs like little treats because they're her family too. That's her grandbabies. And she's been puking everywhere and peeing everywhere, and her poos have been really bad. Normally we're up till 4 in the morning anyways. However, we were up doing work until 4 in the morning, which isn't normal of us. We normally like take that time to just rest and like do our dailies on our games or get some crochet. For me personally, get some crochet done, whatever. But we had an emergency yesterday, couldn't sleep, both the beds were puked on, the couch was puked on, my sewing room now has to be shut because I'm just scared that she's gonna puke on everything. The pattern that she peed on, by the way, it no longer exists. So that's fun. I do have another pattern somewhere in my pattern stash that does have a bishop sleeve, and I think what my plan is just to like take that and widen the sleeves a little bit. I want a big poofy sleeve for that. That's a project I haven't started and finished yet, and this video is about me and my projects for this year. So yeah, Frosty Forest Witch capelet, that was a 2-piece project. Like I have the like little cowl, which I thought was cute on its own, and then I have the capelet part, which is also kind of cute on its own. Not as cute when it's by itself as opposed. Oh, the pine cones were really fun to make. I can still hear the squeaks in my ears and it kind of hurts, but like I'm not much of an amigurumi maker. I started off doing amigurumi because back in my day on Tumblr, I think that's where I started seeing crochet pop up, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. I want to do that, and I wanted to do like crochet Pokemon amigurumi. The guy I was dating at the time got me onto Ribbler. No, that wasn't there. Ravelry, because his ex was also a crocheter. and told him about that. So that was really neat, and that really got me into the crochet world. But after 6 months of crocheting, I was just like, oh, I can't do this anymore because I'm not an amigurumi artist. I am a fashion artist. So just because you're not good at amigurumi doesn't mean you're not good at crochet, by the way. You might just be good at doing fashion, and vice versa. After that, I made a detachable bow, and that's this right here. I have like 2 others made, and like I like putting them in my hair because I think it's very cute. I had initially made them to go on my leggings for the candy cane project. It's a really cute slouchy leg warmer, right? But it's just really, really slouchy, and you have to wear like boots, or I don't know. I haven't tried wearing it with heels because I'm scared that it's going to drag on the ground. I know that with acrylic yarns it's easier to wash. However, I just didn't want to drag it on the ground and then me potentially slipping and breaking my legs, especially since I was going to be walking around in heels. So they look fine with boots. I made 2 of these. I was planning on going to put it on my wristlet thing that I was working on, but the more I look at it, the less I think the bow would match it. Maybe if I made like a big purse, but I don't think I have enough of this color yarn. By the way, I talked about this on my TikTok, friends only, but this yarn is Premier Bamboo Fair. I went to look for it online. Premier is the yarn maker, and they sell it for $4.99, right? I wanted to try to see if I can get it a little bit faster because I'm scared I'm gonna run out. It's $10.63, I think, or 10 something on Amazon. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then I looked at the Michaels website, and it's $12.63. And that's just for 1 skein of yarn. I don't want to buy just 1 yarn skein. I feel like that's a waste of gas, and I feel like that's a waste of shipping price. I don't have that kind of money to send for shipping 1 skein of yarn. It's not in my priority. So if I run out, I run out, whatever. Anyways, that's just a little story. Next is my back cape. The final thing, oh wait, no, there's 2 more. The final thing that I sewed this year actually is the back cape. And I am so stinking proud of that. Like, I hadn't sewn really in 2 months, and the last thing I had sewn was my Halloween Frontier Woman, Pioneer Woman shirt. And the reason why I sewed that was because I felt like I was obligated to make a Halloween outfit, because every single year I make like 1 Halloween outfit, maybe 2. A lot of times I'll make a Halloween outfit around Halloween, but like I always make a Halloween outfit during the Halloween, like October. Before that though, I hadn't sewn anything since August, and like that's really abnormal for me. I think because like I had such a huge sewing hyperfixation for like 3 years, and like crochet was never something like I felt confident in. Only recently did I feel confident in my crochet skills. This back cape was a different set of skills for me because I learned how to piece or Frankenstein patterns a little bit more, but it wasn't really. It was just taking something that I could see and then attaching them together, and then learning how to make it reversible. That was a huge deal to me. I've made capes before, and they were always the vintage style capes, the 1940s capes, and like the first one I made was pretty neat. It was like a Christmassy kind of Little Red Riding Hood kind of cape, and it looks really cute. I don't wear it often because I just feel self-conscious wearing it, to be honest. And then the second one I made was like a purple one, and that one I never wear because I really do feel self-conscious in that one. I think it's just like, it's a little bit too boring for my taste, on the outside at least. The inside lining, like it's all cotton fabric, so like it kind of doesn't have that kind of good fabric-y feel to make it look like a sophisticated cape. But the inside is like this really pretty like purple starry fabric, very space core kind of in a way. Whimsigoth, I guess that's a better way to call it, but I didn't feel confident in that one either. But one of my mutuals like asked me if it was reversible, and I was like, I'm sure I could make it reversible if I tried hard enough, but like I never did until now. And I learned how to make it reversible. And it's super easy to make things reversible. Like all you have to do is like, you sew together one side, sew together the other side, sew together both sides, but right sides together, and leaving like the collar area open, and then flipping that over, and then you got it. Like I think I did explain this in the last video that I posted, so it's gonna be all there. I don't feel like I worked really hard on it. It came out really quickly, and it came out well. The detachable collar, I took another pattern. Well, it wasn't a pattern. It was like a collar that I've had in my closet forever, and I never use it because I felt like a fake. Took that, made my own pattern, which that is a huge feat for me, because I think that's what makes me not a good sewist, is that I don't know how to make my own patterns. I always copy patterns, and I know how to Frankenstein patterns, but that's not the same thing as like making your own patterns. I think that cape was like a new era in my sewing like journey, and I'm very proud of it. Last but not least, fingerless gloves, which honestly I feel like they could fall under my candy cane accessories. They were the same pattern I used for the candy cane accessories, like the fingerless gloves. So I don't really want to talk too much about it, but it was basically just a fingerless glove. I did make a short for that with the instructions in the description, so that's the pattern there. The stars aren't my own. I had that like whole Yumek Hawaii thing going, which I am a big fan of Yumek Hawaii. I think that my stuff for Yumek Hawaii always ends up on the wrong side of like normie like algorithms. On TikTok it does fine, but when I post on YouTube or Instagram with my Yumek Hawaii stuff, even Lemonade, it just doesn't do well. And like, I'm not trying to become super famous or popular. Yumek Hawaii is like a very like not very known J fashion style. I feel like a lot of people just stick it into the fairy K style, I think. I don't know. It's a very like, not many people do it. I've had 2 really mean comments on here on YouTube on my shorts. One was really mean. The other one I feel like was kind of mean, but I also don't think that they meant it to be mean. One of them was absolutely meant to be mean, so I just deleted it immediately. I think about it, but in like 10 years when I go back to look at this video, if I do, that comment's not going to be there and I'm not going to remember it. So that's all for my like fashion makes of this year. I know I kind of flew through a lot of them. I didn't really talk about a lot of them because I started getting tired of talking, and like towards the end of this one I was just like, oh, just let's get this over with, right? Going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I want to talk about how that affects my style nowadays. Let me pull it up real quick so I can like actually give a true like honest opinion on that. So I was a music education major for the majority of my college career. I kept on jumping around because like that's what ADHD does to you, especially when you're undiagnosed and you have no way of controlling that. One of the classes I took was psychology of child's behavior or something. I think I took it my first year in college, and I don't remember too much about it, to be honest. That was almost 10 years ago. I don't want to think about how far. Oh my god, it was more than 12. Oh, it's 12 years ago. Oh my gosh. After hearing Skiz talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I heard him talk about it before, and it like sparked a light in my brain. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that like ideation. I just don't know much about it, and I just need to look back into it. So there's 5 layers to it, and the bottom layer, the like base level layer, is like physiological needs. And being a child from a not very well nurtured house, I did have most of the physiological needs. Actually, I'd say I had all the physiological needs except for maybe sleep. But that's because I'm like on a different time clock internally. My brain doesn't sleep well in the normal sleeping time. And then on top of that, I wasn't actually able or allowed to rest because I had to do so many other things. But I wouldn't say that I didn't have sleep. There was times that I did have sleep. But the next level to that is safety and security. And in there it says family. I don't mean to do this to be like sappy or anything. I do get pretty sappy on here quite a bit because it's my own vlog, and like I talk about real life experiences, and I would not say that I had family. My family literally just gave me the physiological needs. I gave you food, I gave you shelter, I give you clean water. You should be able to do everything that you need. And like, that's not the greatest mindset to have. I was absolutely mentally abused as a child, verbally abused. The next layer in the hierarchy of needs wasn't met. Nowadays, I can say that I have finally reached maybe self-actualization. It's the top of the pyramid. I now have the security. I wouldn't say I have health. I live in the United States, but I have the concept of health. I have a family that cares for me. I have employment. I can't quite say I have social ability, but I have more of a social ability than I ever had before. Like, I have a platform to talk on. Like, I'm not like a huge creator or anything. I just have places that I can speak my mind and not feel like I'm judged about it, and not feel like I have to hide some of the words that I'm saying to make other people around me feel like they're more important than my needs. I feel like I finally reached a point in my life that I can say I've almost met self-actualization. So the number 3 layer is love and belonging. I know I've talked about this with like the maybe TikTok ban. I feel loved and like I belong in a community on TikTok. Here, I've been feeling it too lately, like maybe not in the shorts area. There are people who do enjoy what I put out there and like they're not like, ugh, freak. I'll be honest, I get the worst comments on YouTube, but like it's not very often that I get them. I get more positive comments. When you grow up in an environment where everything was just so negative, like you see the negatives and you feel like the negatives way heavier than the positives. It does hurt, but like I've been doing really well by not letting it affect me. I'm honestly kind of grateful that people will say stuff like that to me because I know I'm influencing people. I know that I'm encouraging other people, my age especially, to dress however the fuck they want. I dress to what makes me feel happy. I dopamine dress. I dress to what makes me feel comfortable. I don't like wearing things that are super tight on me. I don't like wearing the sexy clothes. Like I don't wear things that don't make me feel comfortable. Yeah, I do get overstimulated in my clothes sometimes, but like it's not the trend. Like I don't fall into trends very often because like most of the trends kind of look overstimulating to me. So I feel very grateful to have people that like accept my style and like tell me that they do love my style. I like really enjoy that I can influence people like that and that no big box company is ever going to steal my style because screw them. One of my friends asked me one time, he's like, what if you saw something that you made on Shein or Temu? And I was like, to be honest, I'd be a little bit honored in a way, not in a good way, but in a, oh shit, people are actually seeing my shit. Not in a, oh, I'm glad that my stuff is taking off, because I don't want my stuff to take off. I want people to feel comfortable wearing what they want. I digress. So that leads into self-esteem. I feel confident in the way that I dress now. I feel confident in the stuff that I make. Yeah, some things are gonna be flops, but that's literally art. Art's going to flop. You're not always gonna make the perfect piece. Like I was saying earlier, my crochet over the shoulder or like cold shoulder top, I don't think I can top that. I probably will, but like my brain can't think that far ahead right now. But I have the confidence that I can make something else that's going to look beautiful. My next sewing project, I know is going to look beautiful because I have it in my head that it's going to be beautiful, even if my seams aren't correct, even if my dog peed on part of the pattern that I was going to use. It's still going to be good. And like self-confidence is something that I did not have growing up, especially when I was like exploring fashion. Now that I'm able to explore fashion the way that I want, I'm going over the top. I'm being crazy about it and I'm feeling comfortable doing it. I have love around me. I have people that are accepting of me. And like, it's really nice to get that balance and be at that level, which will lead you to the next step, which is self-actualization. And that's where you start feeling like your sense of purpose. I don't entirely feel like I have that in me right now, but I'm kind of leaning in towards the I am here to tell other people it's okay to be who you want to be. Your blood family doesn't always have to be your chosen family, and that it's okay to express yourself. I want to be able to teach other people, but that's not really, I don't think that's my role in society. I don't think teaching will ever be a role in society for me. I wanted to when I was younger, but I just don't think I'm a teacher type person. I just want to be the kind of like older sister type of deal. Even when I'm like a granny age, I want to be like that granny that's like, oh dear, you're doing so well, expressing yourself, showing your art through fashion. I think that's my self-actualization role. Like I'm getting a little bit teary thinking about it because like I just never thought that I would ever get to this point, and I think it's really hard to get to that point, especially when you have no support around you. Being able to talk this through on here has been such a good like change in my life. I think I needed to do long form YouTube for a while, but I just didn't know how to do it because I was just doing like what everybody else was doing, which was like video essays. I was just trying to sit in front of a camera and like do what everybody else was doing, and that's not me. I'm very grateful to be at this point. I'm very happy with where 2024 led me fashion wise. I'm very grateful that my artistry has grown and I've been feeling more confident in myself and my fashion, and I'm really grateful that I'm encouraging other people to get more into fashion, to get more into fiber arts, because it really, at the end of the day, it's an incredible art form to get into. I talked for a really long time just now. My mouth is starting to get really gross and my throat hurts. This is my 2024 flash drive. Every 3 months, I take everything from the phone that you're on right now and put it into here for all of the outfits that I made, and then I stick it into my little safe and then I lock it away. I started this tradition last year. I wish I had started it before, but I hadn't really like documented my outfits very well. Digital media always disappears. I had a Zanga. I never posted anything on Zanga, to be honest, but I had a MySpace and all those photos are missing. Photo Bucket, same deal. Tumblr, I think I did post a little bit on there, and LiveJournal. I did post a lot, but like I think I post a little bit about myself on both Tumblr and LiveJournal, and all of that is gone. Maybe 5 years from now I'll look back into this, but here's this flash drive. It is the end of 2024. I am very, very grateful for how far I've come in fiber arts, and I hope that I keep this up, and that if you want to follow me along in 2025, I'm still here. Thanks for watching it all the way to the end of this video if you did. I know it's a really long one, and I know I got really sappy and I talk a lot because that's just who I am. I can't form like regular bullet points. Just that's neurodiversity for you, baby. See y'all next year. Ha ha ha. See you next year. Ha ha. All right. As always, thanks for keeping me accountable. Bye bye.